It's one of the juiciest roles in comic book history. DC's The Joker is a fan favorite and one of the most iconic villains of all time. Even if you're not into comic books or comic book films, you have without a doubt heard of the Joker. An unhinged maniac, he's the Dark Knight's ultimate foe, continuously going toe-to-toe with him. He's already been portrayed by a small handful of actors, including voice work and on-screen performances, which range from beloved to controversial. Naturally, many actors have auditioned for the coveted role of the Clown Prince of Crime, which would have made for some interesting performances if they actually landed the role.
I hate you! Stop smiling, you.
Here are Screen Rant's choices for 10 popular actors who almost played the Joker. But before we get started, can you guess the movie that is represented by these emojis? Stay tuned for the answer, and don't forget to hop into your bat caves and hit the like and subscribe buttons to stay up to date with all things Screen Rant. Robin Williams. Before Jack Nicholson committed to the role in Tim Burton's 1989 Batman film, the legendary late actor Robin Williams was actually offered the opportunity to play the Joker. But it looks like the production team really only wanted Jack in the film, as they offered the role back to him after Robin Williams accepted the part. Williams was ultimately let go, but apparently was furious that he didn't get the role and that the studio offered it to someone else after he agreed to do it, which led him to refuse work on all the sequels. We think Williams' wacky personality and knack for improvisation would have made for a quite engaging and unhinged performance as the Joker, as even the director and fellow cast members would be unprepared for what would come next with a Robin Williams performance. Couple that with the fast-talking, trademark laugh, and chuckle, and we have to wonder why this wasn't done at some point in Williams' life. Adrien Brody. The 2003 Best Actor was once considered to play the beloved villain in a Batman film. Despite the role being untimely offered to the late Heath Ledger in a performance that Brody himself praised, Adrien actually was very close to having the role in the Christopher Nolan sequel. If that wasn't enough, the actor auditioned yet again for the DCEU version of the Joker, which saw Jared Leto cast as a heavily tattooed incarnation in Suicide Squad. On the topic of superhero films, Brody stated that he'd only want to do one if he felt that he could contribute something valuable to the role. And considering his performance in The Pianist, we know that he's not short on acting skills. Perhaps when the series gets rebooted again in the future, Adrien will get a chance again.
What kind of magic spells to use?
David Bowie. You mean there was a moment in time when Ziggy Stardust himself was being considered to play the Joker? Color us green with intrigue. Even more intriguing is that Ivan Reitman, who had recently directed Ghostbusters, was actually in place to direct the movie, while Bill Murray was up to play Batman. Given Bowie's love for all wacky and colorful things in his art, it would have been quite an interesting treat to witness such a talented individual tackle the insanity of the Joker. And who knows, maybe Bowie would have written an epic musical odyssey to accompany the film that would have chronicled the mindset of a depraved madman. One can only dream.
Hello, my dear.
Willem Dafoe. Another talented actor who was eyeballing the role of the Joker for Tim Burton's film was Willem Dafoe, years before he would take up the mantle as the Green Goblin in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Dafoe was ultimately cast in the Justice League, and some fans had their hopes up that he would be the new Joker before it was revealed that he would be playing an ally of Aquaman instead. Considering Dafoe's talent in playing the usual villainous role, with his distinct and often sinister-sounding voice, we can't help but think of how perfect the actor would have been playing the Joker. Perhaps he can lend his voice to the Joker one day if Mark Hamill's cool with that. What's more frustrating is that the actor was also being considered for the part in Tim Burton's film, which makes this a double miss for Dafoe.
It's time for you to jump.
What? No.
John Lithgow. John Lithgow is no stranger to pulling off fine accents. Check out his performance in The Crown as Winston Churchill. It would have been very interesting to see how Lithgow would have put his spin on the Joker's role. It's hard to imagine Lithgow sporting a higher and more maniacal accent, but an interpretation of the Joker with a bit more timbre to his voice could have made for an interesting spin on things. You know, if anything, having Lithgow play the Joker at this point of his life would make for an interesting experience if we were to ever get to see an aging Joker on the silver screen, which would offer up a rather unique role that hasn't really been done before. Just saying.
After all I've done for you, and you dare steal from me?
James Woods. Another one of the many candidates who was up for the Joker in the role of Tim Burton's 1989 film, James Woods would have certainly made for an interesting performance. At the time, Woods was an up-and-coming actor who had already dabbled with insanity in David Cronenberg's Videodrome, and sported a very wide and creepy smile in The Onion Field. Woods certainly would have captured that creepy and unhinged aspect perfectly, as he's often portrayed going over the top in his films. Even his voice work as Hades in Disney's Hercules could inspire a Joker performance. Apparently, the opportunity passed him by due to Woods' agent not properly informing him, and we can only imagine that James Woods would have channeled his inner Joker once he found out.
What's the matter?
Steve Carell. Oscar winner Steve Carell was another actor who was under consideration to don the purple suit in Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight. At the time, Carell was Oscarless and was known more for his work on the TV show The Office and comedy films like The 40-Year-Old Virgin. His oddball comedic timing certainly would have suggested a vastly different Joker than we ultimately got with Ledger, and may have launched a meme or two if it ever came to be. We picture a lot of yelling and awkward deliveries. Carell was so interested in playing the role that he publicly campaigned and expressed his interest in playing the role to the press. However, in the end, Carell lost out to Ledger, which we think is ultimately pretty acceptable.
Oh, you want it, don't you, Georgie?
Tim Curry. Tim Curry has excelled as a lunatic clown already in the adaptation of Stephen King's It, and is no stranger to the unusual and bizarre, so it seems like a no-brainer that Tim Curry was considered to play the part of the Joker at some point in his career. Despite his qualifications, Curry was unsuccessful in lending his voice for the Joker in the animated series, a role that was ultimately given to Mark Hamill. The producers thought that Curry's take on the Clown Prince would have been too scary and too intense for younger viewers, so they ultimately cut him out after he had already recorded 4 whole episodes, which actually makes us really curious as to just how intense Curry's voice work was, especially considering some of the stuff that Hamill's Joker ended up doing. We're looking at you, the Killing Joke. Ryan Gosling. Before he was winning over fans with his smooth dance moves and love of jazz, the La La Land actor was actually being considered to play the Joker in Suicide Squad. It would have been quite interesting to see the usually calm and soft-spoken Gosling tackle the insanity of the Joker. While we have no doubt that Gosling has the acting chops to pull off the role, he was ultimately put off by the notion of signing to a multiple picture deal. We're actually glad that Gosling didn't sign, as it gives him the freedom to do more experimental and creative films in his future instead of committing to a role that he might not even enjoy that much down the line.
I love you.
I know.
Harrison Ford. There was a time when Harrison Ford was being considered to play the Joker. Back in the day, acclaimed director Steven Spielberg was considering development of a Batman movie, which would have seen Dennis Quaid take up the mantle as the Caped Crusader. Having become a household name for playing characters like Han Solo and Indiana Jones, Ford had quickly become very popular in Hollywood. So it comes as no surprise that Spielberg wanted to use one of his actors yet again on a proposed big-budget film. This film would never see the light of day, however, as Tim Burton inevitably made The Batman, starring Jack Nicholson as the Joker instead. Something about Harrison Ford with green hair just seems wrong to us though. So there you have it. That's our picks for 10 popular actors who almost played the Joker. What do you think of our list? Who's the one actor you wish got the chance to play the Joker, either on screen or using his voice? And don't forget to tell us why you would pick that actor to embody the Clown Prince of Crime, and which cinematic universe you'd want to see him in. Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button for more awesome videos like this one in the future. But wait, there's more. If you haven't already, why not head over to CBR? Over at CBR, you'll find even more sweet comic book videos like this one, and tons more to come.